So the train, I'm almost done drawing it, except I forgot that little hole right there. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and put that circle in there. You can choose to leave it out if you don't want to. The other thing on this train, there's actually a slot in the top. I think it was supposed to be a piggy bank, but there's no way to get the money out, so we're just ignoring that. Okay, so once everything's completely drawn, the next step is to go back and erase all your blocking lines, erase any lines that are too dark. I've already gone ahead and done that already. If you made a total mess of your drawing, you had so many lines and you were erasing all over the place, and you've got dents everywhere, you can just go put your first drawing up on a window, take a new piece of paper and trace out your drawing so that you have a nice clean copy of it before you start shading. That's always an option. Okay, so I find shading wooden objects to be one of the easiest ones there is to do. That's why we're starting with this. Because some people have trouble making things smooth and you end up with a lot of lines in your shading. Well, guess what? That's the texture of wood. It does have lines in it, so it's okay. All right, so whenever you're shading, we always say you need to shade in the direction of the object. Well, in this case, that just means shade in the direction of the wood grain. So it's really obvious on the front that the lines are going this way. So I'm going to always turn my page so I'm comfy, and I'm just going to start to shade it in. Now, because it's a cube, we're going to have 3 different values. So we're going to establish, I'm going to make the top of everything the lightest, I'm going to make the front to the medium, and I'm going to make this side the darker. So I'm going to go ahead and using the side of my pencil, and I don't want to get too dark too fast. And I'm just going to start going straight across. Yay. And I'm going to just go ahead. I can do that for this one as well. It's so much easier when stuff actually has lines. Keep going this way. And I like to just start by filling everything in. So everything's going across this direction, and we're just going to go straight across for all of these parts. We're just going to do the cube parts first. Okay, and I've got this section right here. Remember, the top parts are going to be the lightest parts, so we don't want to press down too much on that. This part right here. And then, okay, and then to do the sides, I'm just going to see my direction changes. So on this piece, the wood is actually, the lines are going straight up and down. This is the end cut of a piece of wood. They're a little trickier, but they're kind of cool. You can see there's lines that are curving like this. We're gonna go ahead and do that because that's kind of cool. All right, so on this part of the train, we're gonna switch our direction and we're gonna go up and down. It's a different piece of wood going this way. Even on this little guy right here, it's kind of cool if you go up and down in there a little bit. And these guys, we're going to change it up a little bit, and we're just going to curve. So it's the end cut of a piece of wood. And you're just going to get all your little lines just curving a little bit. I'm not copying it exactly. We're just communicating the wood texture. Okay, so that's a good start, but we're not quite there yet. So the next thing we have to do is we have to remember that we have a medium and a darker shading. So the top is the lightest, and then the sides are going to be our medium. The front, sorry, is going to be our medium. So I'm just going to go back, because remember, we always want to change values on cubes. So now there's my medium, and then this is the front. So I'm just going to go back through again. I'm always just kind of making my lines go across. Don't want to get too dark too fast. I mean, look at that train. It's balsa wood. It's really a light wood. It's not a dark wood. So we don't want to shade too dark. But it's so much easier to shade because it doesn't have to be consistent. You can have some lines in it. So I'm just taking the front of the train and we're making it medium. So we're just separating it from the top. So the top stays the lightest. Here. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to take this side of the train, and it's going to be our darkest value. So once again, I'm going back in the direction. We want that side a little darker. This part up here, get that thing a little bit darker up there. This part. And because I originally did those curved lines, this time I can probably just shade right over top to get it a little darker. And then if you want to, you can just kind of go back and get a couple of those curved lines right there. And this bit right here. You can go up and down, or you can go sideways. These parts are so small, we don't really see the line direction. Okay, so I'm just checking. The top of everything's lighter. The sides, we should clearly be able to see the sides. So one of the things is you're trying not to do is have lines between everything. We shouldn't have a line saying this is where the front stops and where the side starts. We should just be changing our shading. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do the wood texture now. So I'm just gonna go onto a scrap piece of paper. So what we just did is we just kind of established the direction of the shading by doing this. And again, it didn't have to be smooth, it didn't have to be solid, because wood itself has lines in the grain of it. This is a really cool trick. So when you take a branch and you cut it off of a piece of wood, it leaves a hole where the knot was. And so you end up with a hole like this. And then you end up with these lines that go around the knot holes like this. So even though when we look at our train, we don't really actually see any knot holes on this particular one, you just see the wood grain, but it's kind of cool because again, your job as an artist is to communicate that this is wood. So you just kind of pick a spot and you go like this. So I always imagine these as a flame shape that's like stretching out. So we're just stretching out a flame. So on the wood, if you just take your lines and you kind of stretch out a flame, it'll start to look like wood texture. And if you want to get really cool about it, instead of drawing a flame line like this, if you make it out of lines and you draw it like this, it looks even more like wood texture. All right, so on our train, even just let's try doing that on the top of the train. So let me go in a bit closer for you. So I'm going to go here and I'm making a flame, but I'm gonna kind of stay in the direction of the wood and I'm gonna make it out of lines like that. And then I'm just going to go up a little bit and I'm just gonna stretch out a little bit of a flame there, stretch it out here, maybe one more. It totally looks like wood. So again, you can kind of do that wherever you want to create a wood texture, even though it's not exactly what this wood looks like. It immediately tells people, hey, that's made out of wood. Parts like the front of the train, you'll notice that the front of the train has some darker stripy lines. So we can just go ahead and do that I'm going to go ahead and just, as long as we're just going across the grain, I'm going to add a couple of these darker lines to show us that it's wood. And you just kind of want to do that in a couple of different places. I also need a darker shadow here. There's actually a little bit of a space between these two pieces of wood. So we're gonna just kind of darken that space a little bit in there. And also, I didn't cut this one short. Honestly, these trains were from like the dollar store. They were a do-it-yourself kit. So there is a gap in there. I didn't bother drawing it in mine. And I might just pick one more place. I think I like that flame looking thing. So I'm just gonna do another one down here because I like it. And I really find that they help to do the wood texture.